everybody. Today is Tuesday. Hey, Tuesday is only 30 minutes, and I got some really, really fun things here. And I want to crack a joke for you, crack a joke, and then give you some real serious tax knowledge behind it. And I think it will make it fun, right? So let's go through our beginnings of every webinar we do. And this is our website, folks. And we are working on updating our website, bring the new look to you, but communitycpa.com, that's how you get onto our website. You can also see our webinars right here. So this Saturday, I will talk about tax and accounting for cryptocurrencies. So who didn't buy cryptocurrency? Who did not lose money on cryptocurrency? And if you are yes and yes on my questions, and you should come to this Saturday. All right, and all of our videos like this one, we are going to talk about this. Today's title is Laugh and Learn, everything about boring taxes, right? So we will trigger your happy chemicals. And then we can go into memorizations on some things that related to you. Hopefully you'll learn something from there. And all of our videos are coming over here as well. And if you go to YouTube, type into Community CPA, you'll find us. It is here, everywhere. And those are the knowledge we give to our community for free. We want you to tap into this. Sometimes clients email me, ask me questions. I send them a video link because that video speaks exactly what they were asking. So it's quite convenient, right? Now let's dive into our Laugh and Learn today, everything about tax filing, okay? And before we dive into those slides, which I always do, you know, folks, the reason we do the slides is because that guide us to speak exactly what we want to speak to you. You know, trust me, if you leave me free and you can go home, we're gonna be talking for the next 32 hours. Well, it's even more than 24 hours. So there's a lot of stuff we can talk about, right? And this is Immigrant Entrepreneur Summit. It is a nonprofit organization, Community CPA proudly support for the past 15 years. Yes, 15 years. And registration, you can get registration ticket there and $70. And of course, everything goes to the nonprofit. And in this event, we have 21 business workshops. They are hands-on workshop. Like if you want to start business, what are the things you need to know? And we also have award celebration at lunchtime, networking, of course. I mean, as much as you are antisocial, you need to network, because network gives you the understanding, gives you the energy, and network will make you know that you're not alone when you are in the bind with your business and when you are feeling like you're at the end of the rope. The network shows you that's not the end, okay? So that's really how important that is. Trust me, I am antisocial, and I call myself antisocial because every time I go into a group, I don't feel comfortable, and I am the kind of person don't even know how to talk to other people, and so it's just like not natural, right? But I also know how important that is to be in the group, to belong to a group. So I have, I participate in a lot of other events, but this Immigrant Entrepreneur Summit is the one that our company financially supported for the past 15 years, alongside of Wells Fargo. So we put in money just like Wells Fargo does, and we bring this nonprofit event over. You can win $5,000 for your business if you compete under in the afternoon, called Underwriting Exposed Business Pitch. All right, so then this is our firm information. By now, you know, and I actually, I'm looking at all of you, and I think you have been coming back. I don't think I saw a new email, but in any case, this is our information. And we are right now at 3 different locations: Des Moines, Iowa, Iowa City, Iowa, and Bloomington, Minnesota. We also have a branch that is being set up that is in Santa Cruz, California. We're looking at other geographical locations to expand community CPA's footprint because we are getting towards to where we have locations in every major state. I call that major states because there are states we won't go first, but there are states we go first because we have our clients there. No responsibility disclaimer and everything you learn, of course, internet is a fun place, okay? But you can't really take everything from internet as if it is all true. No, and it is not all true. And people talk, you know, even president can go on internet and lie about things, so everybody can. But community CPA is not in that business. We have no reason to lie. So we just tell you what we know, but our knowledge could be outdated, right? So it is really something that we want to make sure you take responsibility of what you learn and don't take anything for granted. All right, so the missed around filing return fast. And this is a laugh point, okay? So have you ever wondered why IRS called the form 1040? So the answer is for every $50 you earn and you get 10, IRS get 40. You know, that's actually the first joke I heard about 1040 when I just immigrated from Canada to US, and people were telling me that, oh, the US tax is so unreasonable. And that's why they have this form 1040 because you make $50 and then you keep 10 and IRS take 40. That's 1040. And one of our clients wants to file tax really fast. And that's because one of his ex-wives would file tax return first. So he knew he would lose all of his refunds. So he's like filing it fast. And then, of course, I heard someone telling another person that, hurry up, file your tax return before the thief and would file your return for you. So that's identity theft, right? That happens to people. And when you file your tax return got rejected, they say, well, it's already filed. So that happens. This is where people, you know, we can laugh about it. People rush into filing, but there is a real reason, you know, why you should not rush into filing. Let me give you so many reasons why you would file extension, then you file your tax return. And having said that, and people knows about extension, right? Your original tax due date is April 15. If you extend it, it was yesterday, October 17 this year, that just got extended due date finished. So assume now no American did not file taxes because the due date is gone. Extension due date is also come and past, right? So your file extension give you a lot more time to think about your taxes and to really find all the document you need. And one more thing I really want to mention here is in our firm, we have this tool called data match. So what data match means is we will take you give us the tax document and we will prepare your tax return, right? So after we finish, we kind of know how much taxes you would pay and or maybe refund you're getting. If you owe taxes, we just tell you to go ahead and pay taxes. You know, before even waiting for the extended due date, we have you pay in April. But what if you are getting refunds and all that? Then we just have you wait until we drew the data from IRS to match to your tax return. This is really something that helped a lot of our business clients to avoid unnecessary audit. For example, this year, we had 2 data match stories in our firm, and one is doctor. And she actually is a doctor. So she got all her ducks in a row. She has her accountant, her CFO. So everybody helping to get the taxes document ready. So we file taxes. And we did a data match and pull the data from IRS and realized that, and there is somebody else in a different state was using her name and the social security number to file unemployment benefit. How would you know that if you don't have the data to manage if you don't really know. So we treated that before we file the return, then the return would be perfectly done at IRS. And, of course, we don't have the time to resolve that issue because that's an identity theft issue, right? So what we do is we still report that unemployment benefit, but we reverse that out on the tax return, explaining that this is identity theft result. And so this is the number the IRS, if they want, they can call to the state. So with that said, and we deal with the identity theft at that state, and to make sure that doesn't happen again, at the same time, our client taxes is perfect with IRS because everything IRS knows about and is already reported, right? That's one example. The other example is we have a client and didn't even know that she is getting a $700,000 income 1099. She didn't know because this now supposedly to come to her tax return is part of the company income. And of course, she doesn't know because the credit card company never really told her where they're going to send this 1099K to. So with that, and we knew, oh, look, your company's income now landed on your social security number. Let's reverse that out so we can report that properly in the company. So these are the reasons why people filed extension. If you don't file extension, the IRS do not have their data put together. And the data is only kind of together by the summer. So you file extension in April, you wait until October, but in between, your tax preparer can match the data, making sure it's all done and you're all good. Wouldn't that be great, right? So no, filing tax fast, there's a lot of funny reasons why it is that, but we learned that extension is useful. Not every extension, it is filed because your tax preparer is just has no time for you. We always tell our client that we don't use that as a reason for you to file extension. You file extension with us is for a different reason. We have other services to provide you, but it's not because, oh, we don't have time. We always have time for you, right? All right, our next one is Mary has a little lamb. Mary has a little lamb. Once upon a time, Mary has a little lamb and followed, oh, did I do a Chinglish right there? Followed her into her tax accounting office. Mary wants to know if she qualifies to be a farmer, to use Schedule F. Schedule F is a farm tax return, right? On the 1040. And the tax person said, no, the lemmy has a bow tie, so it is a pet, cannot deduct it, and they do not make a farm. So this is a funny one, right? It is funny because Mary has a little lamb, followed her to school. No, not to school, to the tax preparer's office. And because the lammy was so cute with a little bow tie, and so the tax preparer was so serious and not fun at all, goes, no, you cannot deduct the little lammy. And this is fundamentally, it is a hobby versus business. You imagine that Mary will say, well, you don't know. I have 20 of them at home, and I do have a business because I just sold one lemmy to another neighbor and made $25, right? So if that conversation happens, it is a business. But if Mary just has one little lamb with a little bow tie, and the lamb can even talk to her in French, forget it. It is a hobby. And they're training the lammy to be a magic lammy, just like my Peanut. And he knows when I say goodbye, he will not follow me. But if I walk out and say, come on, and he'll jump at me because he knows that I'm taking him out, right? So that's a hobby. That's not a business. And the more laugh, that night, that accountant Mary went to had a hard time to sleep. And he went to see his doctor. Doc, I just cannot sleep last night. And, the doctor says, did you try to count sheep? And then the tax accountant said, oh, well, that's the problem. I made mistake counting Mary's lamb. Then I spent 3 hours trying to find what mistake I made. So, this is the sad part about the tax accountant. And trust me, dreaming about tax filing is not even fiction. It is real. And during the tax season, there are times I woke up and I think I finished the taxes already. Then I came to the computer and I assume I finished it because it was in my dream. I already finished it. And then I look at my computer, look at the status of the tax return. I'm just like, I don't understand. Am I dreaming? Or it is really, really done. I look again and goes, it's not done. But I knew I did it. And then I can come back and goes, well, it was in my dream. I finished it, but it didn't. So this is more laugh about that accountant who was counting sheep for Mary. So an important lesson learned, right? And that you actually want those kind of accountant. If they got stuck with one mistake and spent 3 hours to look for it, it's better than those accountant who found the mistake and shuffle it under the carpet and tell you don't worry about it. You don't want that kind of people to be your accountant. Send tax dollars to IRS. So here's the laugh, right? So your tax accountant committed robbery. How? Because they calculating more taxes than necessary. Is literally called the legalized robbery, right? So I always say to our folks that, we calculate tax correctly, but we do not pay tips to the government. Government don't need your tips. They don't need you to pay more than what you need to pay. So you want to find the accountant who can spend 3 hours to count your sheep. So that way you pay it right? Whoever wins the Mega Million jackpot will make history. This is a joke because they will be the first billionaire to pay taxes. Think about it. Of course, why? Because it is not a business, right? You have these billionaires out there making so much money, but they pay no taxes. And President Trump makes so much money and so wealthy, and he pays no taxes. But if someone made a couple $1 billion on jackpot, of course they pay taxes because they have no deductions. So deductions, business running is such a machine to take your taxable income down to not pay taxes, right? So on that faithful tax day is a joke here. Ordinary Americans send their money to IRS. So you, me, and everyone on this webinar, we're ordinary Americans, right? We send money to IRS. But the wealthy Americans send their money to Cayman Islands. So why is that? This is a joke, supposed to make you laugh a lot. But I know you are like, oh, what that mean? I mean, Cayman Island is a place where we call the tax shelter. We have people, I don't have any client who does that, but there are wealthy clients, they do that. They will do transaction. For example, they have a company, part of the sales, the part of the company, let's say owned by Cayman Islands Corporation. Then the part of the sales goes over there, right? So it's no tax, nothing. And then it got reduced on the American ground, so you pay less taxes. So this Cayman Islands is not really a joke. It is something the wealthies are doing. And I have clients who are really not yet there, but they think that is a tool for them not to pay taxes. So I always tell our client that our small successful business owners, you don't need that. You don't need Cayman Islands to save you. What you need is better tax planning. You want to know where your money is coming, where your money is going. And when you, at the time filing taxes, and just make sure that you have a thorough understanding of what your tax accountant is doing. And I always say that our American tax system is really not made for ordinary people to pay taxes so much that we don't even have money to spend. If you are in that boat, if you borrow money to pay taxes, something is wrong with your tax. So you better come to community CPA because we don't really see people doing that. And you really should not. We have clients who come to us, and prior to they come to us, they were paying taxes a lot more because their structure wasn't set correctly. For example, if you kept on losing money for your corporation and you are a C Corp, then of course you probably pay your taxes on your personal side and the C Corp loss you are not utilizing. If that's the case, I would think of you should be electing yourself to be S Corp, have the loss run through your personal account, right? Of course, there's more things to talk about, like a basis and how you're going to do this and how you're going to make yourself available and possible and legitimately reduce your income by these losses. And there are a lot of things to consider, but generally speaking, you really should not put yourself in the place where you are so strapped with cash and you have no money, but you got a big tax bill. That is something wrong. So words of looking deserve you to look into that further. Okay. All right, dependents. All right, there's some laugh on this one. Tax accountant would say to you that children may be deductible, but they are forever taxing. Isn't that true? Only wise tax accountant would say that because they see people are so happy with child tax credit. Oh, mine, another $3,600 to my pocket. But oh, dear parents, you didn't even know what you're asking because these kids, they grow up, they are going to tax you forever and you can't get rid of them. They're there. And they're going to be run out of their CTC, but they're still on your book and continue to take from you. Okay. And a frustrated parent would say, this is about the only time I appreciate my kids' tax credit. You know, they come to the tax preparer's office, got a big refund because of their kids. So they're like, that's the only time I appreciate them. I know they appreciate them more because, you know, that's why I say it's a frustrated parents. It's not really the parents, right? And why not my puppy is a dependent? You know, they relies on me all the time. That's what they depend on me. That's another Chinglish. And I didn't really look at my slides, but so they rely on me 100% and really should be qualified for dependent, but not. And let's learn something. The puppy can be deducted in certain circumstances. And for example, if you love the puppy and you got the puppy to have more puppies and you're selling the puppy and you become a certified breeder, you know, that's all allow you to deduct the puppy expenses. Now your puppy food, your puppy shower, and your puppy this and your puppy that is all deductible, right? So if you turn that hobby into a business, then of course it's deductible. And also know that, you know, that child tax credit, and of course your child has to be under 17 years old, but if they are under 70 years old, but you are doing so well, your total AGI is over 400,000. Come on, you don't have that CDC anymore. That is not even related to you anymore. So dependent for CTC is kind of up to your total income, right? So your total income, 400,000 will just kick you away. You don't have that anymore. If you are a single person, 200K, I mean, there's a lot of people with the inflation. There's a lot of W-2 increase, right? You see that a lot. So, you know, I don't think, you know, 10, 15 years ago, I don't see a lot of client with $200,000 W-2. But in today's world, yeah, a lot of clients with more than $200,000 W-2. And if you have two making that, and then you already gone, there's no dependent benefit for you, and you're just gonna be taxed by your kids forever. Just have more kids, pay more taxes, right? Doesn't sound like encouraging, but I would just say that actually the best thing in life is still have the kids of your own, am I right? So you can have the worry of your own, so you can have the heartbreak of your own, and you're just not gonna be not having anything. You know, life is about to go through things, right? So that's a must. And who will get audited? This is fun one. And I want you to guess, okay? What company would that be? So the definition is they were suspected of being a shell company in some fishy business. So what is that company? For sure will be audited. That's a seafood restaurant. That's Red Lobster, all right? They're being and they have these shells. They do some fishy business. Yes, right. So these are, funny things people talk about. What kind of company will be audited? Let me give you the common triggers. So we laugh, but we also learn. Most common things that can trigger audit is data mismatch. What data? Matching what? Data, IRS data, the state government data, and not matching with the data you give to your tax accountant. They submit it for you. Data doesn't match. Your SSA, your Social Security Administration W-2 data doesn't match 941 that you send to IRS. Data mismatch. Those are triggers for audit. That's the number one. I know right now, if you go on internet, you go, oh, what triggers the audit? It tells you the math error. Of course, the math error gonna trigger audit, but really nowadays, we're talking about this century, this year, this time, it is data mismatch because everything is computerized. And in the past, IRS and the Social Security Administration, they don't match data that fast. Now they match it within 2 months, you send in the data. So those mismatch is triggered. So with that said, what that means for us, that means we have a way to prevent that. By what? By looking at the data at IRS, looking at the data at the state, looking at the data with the Social Security Administration that match to what you give us. So making sure that your data matches with the government, then you won't be audited. Even if you want to, it will take some effort. You got to piss off some people so hard, and then they can go to IRS and to report you, whistleblower, right? And then the government program and grants is the second biggest trigger, which means that if you receive the free money from the government, and just know that you will be audited. And the IRS already hired 87,000 auditors. And rumor says that they're also trained how to shoot the gun, but I don't know. I didn't see any proof of that, but I just see some people talking like that. I don't think they have any proof, but the reality is IRS is hiring more auditors. And in fact, I got a new auditor to my office, and they're so new, they don't really know exactly what the process is. So we work with the auditors together, right? To get that compliance done. So the government program and the grants are the trigger. If you have it, you probably will be audited. And unpaid taxes is the third one. If you have taxes you don't pay, oh yeah, you're asking for it. Part of IRS compliance outreach by type of return and type of industry, that's also a trigger. So IRS has programs. They will say, okay, let's focus on Schedule C and in this area. So they would have a database come out. Then the database would spit out those potential client for them to audit into the local office. When they arrive at the local office people knows the area, so they will select people to get audited. So those are the things, triggers someone to be audited. And you can see there's a methodology, there's a reason. It is not because you don't look right, so the IRS auditor just coming to find you. And because at the grocery store, you step on his toes, that's why he's auditing you. No, never like that. Because this IRS work is so, I want to tell you that is so fair. And they try to make people judgment away from who is going to get audited. They want to be independent from opinions. So that's why the audit procedures are very complete, and they will do these database analysis. Then when they goes to the local office, maybe there is some judgment, but it would never be like, if you're not in the pool, they will not pull you out for audit, okay? It is prohibited for the auditors who lives next door to you to go to his computer to look at your taxes. That is prohibited. They can be fired if they do that. I mean, the IRS auditor could be fired if they do that. All right. I know everybody asked me this question. how to find a good accountant and a laugh. Okay, you can find a good accountant if he refer your child as a deduction 214. Okay, or always talking codes like you're stupid and only they know what that means. And they give you an impression they have those jargons and it just make you confused, right? That actually means is a good accountant. Let me tell you why. You know, if they can spit out the jargons, at least they know what that means, right? If they have a whole bunch of jargons you don't understand, code you don't know, you can write it down and study that yourself, right? So I don't mind those accountants. I think they're good accountant. And or they treat your purchase, X-lax, you know what that is, right? As a moving expense. Of course, right now, moving expense for your household is no longer deductible, but moving expense in the business is still. So, you know, these accountants are just so lack of life experience. They don't even know what X-lax is. And of course, they don't know what GAAP is. They only think of generally accepted accounting principle, GAAP, as a GAAP. They didn't even know there's a store called GAAP, right? So those accountants, thumbs up, a good accountant. And he, you know, this accountant also do net present value calculation for everything you give to them. So you got a Christmas present, they already did net present valuation on the present. So these are the thought process, the mindset of a good accountant. And indeed is funny, but you know, has some truth to it, right? So for what you hear from me, I would say that a good accountant must have compassion. You know how accountants are really, we have the skills, but then it is up to our chemicals to really trigger us to think hard. If I have the compassion for you, I work very hard for you. I dedicate my brain and my thinking to your case. That's where sometimes, you know, when I get into a case, and if it is so injustice, and if the taxpayer was so mistreated, I stay on the case with determination for 8 long years. I have a case in my practice lasted 8 years. But this 8 years, what I did is $1 million tax due becoming $543 tax refund. That is how hard I worked. And during the process, the IRS appeal office lost everything for this case once. We submitted everything, they lost it. They don't know where that is. So we have to reproduce everything, going back to Omaha and getting things to the appeal officer, and then not to have any complaints or dissatisfactions, because we understand things happens, and you know, to get the case done. So that is compassion, that is determination, and you want to find someone just like that. And someone who loves the work, not just work the work. That is also very important. If someone just work the work, you find them 1 year, you don't see them next year. But if someone work the work and they love it, and that's their life calling. And I know it is easy for me to say, and how did you spot them? You spot them. When you go into a place to do your taxes and your tax preparer is there year after year, that means you found someone who works for the love of it, not for the pay of it, not for the work itself to kill time, right? And find that person, someone with skills and knowledge. Of course, someone with skill and knowledge, they're CPAs and they have been in the industry for a long time, and you will find these people. And someone will be there a long time for you, right? If you're in your 20s, you really want, if you are in your 20s, you are in the big business, and you really need to find a company that will stay there for you for the next 80 years, am I right? So to work with one individual without a company behind them is difficult, because that one individual could have something happen and will never be there. So you will have this disconnect. And to work with a company, that is one of the benefits, because you have one person out there, you will have the other person there, right? The consistency is the key. All right, my last slide, plan for 2022 tax filing, a good happy laugh. And we had a good happy laugh just yesterday. And we have done a client's tax planning, and from paying for 80K taxes, after our planning, client just need to get 20,000 refund back from IRS. So a big span, right? $100,000. So we're talking about these kind of wins. Do your planning. It is so worth it. And even if you are just wrapping up your 2021 taxes right now, and you already want to think about your 2022 because it's time. It is particularly true if you have multiple businesses that will impact your personal return. You want to do the planning before December so you can properly plan for paying less taxes legitimately. Paying less taxes, absolutely, but need to be legitimate. Community CPA we offer tax planning service. We serve on tax dues by implementing tax strategies, but we don't do Cayman Islands stuff. It's beyond us, and I never truly believed in that. Maybe one of the limitations is we don't have that kind of client to make us understand deeper, since it is existed on the market. You know, large companies, large CPA firms, they're doing it regularly. So there must be merit. But our firm, our largest client, 200 million a year sales. So we don't have billions, millions, 100 millions, billions people, billions sales to plan or profit to plan. So that would be a limitation, but we don't do that. And what we do is a normal people, normal Americans tax strategy. All right, so let's conclude our today. And we had a lot of laugh, didn't we? I'm not good. I'm not good comedian. I try to be, but today I hope that I did give you some useful tips. And you can always email Catherine@communitycpa.com to give us recommendations on what to talk about. And we do open 6 days a week. So Saturday is our working day. And you can always visit our Des Moines office or call us. And that 515-288-3188 is our phone number. Welcome to Community CPA. Okay, bye-bye.